shortly.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, maybe get Susie back.
Yeah, actually.
You know,
Susie would be better.
Yes, maybe they need to get to get Susie.
Now I suppose it's the 24th, which is the South African population, and it just feels like a bit of a middle finger.
Try. And don't try. I don't care who you are. You gotta get some more sappers into your squads for this exact reason.
That's exactly why we have so many sappers in other teams.
To rate players, to get involved. On my picks.
You played it unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Look at you. Welcome everyone to episode 6 of the Maul Disorder, the Mad Show, with myself and only Stevie P this week. Steve, how's it going?
Yeah, well, hectic. We're having to run through this because Rassie's decided to throw in a little 7:30 team announcement.
I mean, by now we should expect this, Steve. So
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Expect the unexpected.
Ironically, the one time where we keep saying that the Monday team announcement makes life a bit busy, probably the one time a Monday team announcement would have worked for us, but keeping us on the toes.
That's the way it goes. So we've got Rassie's announcement to look forward to, so we're going to zip through this episode of the Mad Show. We've also got Rugby's greatest rivalry tours here. The All Blacks are in country, and they've caused quite a stir. We've seen reactions from fans across the nation, specifically down in Cape Town, mixed reactions to that. Really enjoyed your Breakfast Club show that you did with X this week that launched. If you haven't checked it out, check out the Breakfast Club. It was great to sort of see the reaction to some of the fan comments there. This is the first full tour in South Africa in 30 years. We've got our first match on Friday night, the Stormers versus the All Blacks. We got the Boks are back in action. I think that's why everyone is so excited for this week. It's Bok Rugby weekend. And then we've got some Schoolboy drama to discuss. So lots to get on through the show, Steve. So if you're happy, I'm happy. We're going to get started.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's get into the breakdown, shall we? Yeah, I mean, the All Blacks are here. And interesting reaction. Obviously, 25,000 people in at, 5,000 people on it at the stadium to welcome them. We've got they're playing golf. They're Cody Taylor. I think that's kind of the main thing. You know, before we get to the rugby, old-fashioned tours. Yeah. You know, I mean, he was basically saying that they don't come here for Super Rugby. So he says for some of these kids, it's their first ever time in South Africa. And when you come in for a test week, you're in. You focus. You might have a day off, inverted commas, and that's kind of it. Tours now. When you got a full tour, you can go and actually experience the country. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for them at the moment is playing golf, going to the beach, experiencing what it is to be here. I think that it's definitely starting to feel a bit real at the moment.
No, absolutely. And a little bit of a teaser, we won't say too much, but they are living the South African way. You know,
well, they're attempting to.
That's a very good clarifier there. So we'll see more of that later on. But no, it is going to be an awesome tour. And I think what we spoke about last week with Brian, and what a great guest. If you haven't checked out last week's episode, go check it out. It was a lot of fun to have him on the show. Was about that off time, right? About having the ability actually to switch off, take your mind away from the game, enjoy the country that you're in, but then switch on when needed to.
Yeah, so. I think that's it. It's when you're here for such a long time. I mean, this is an 8-match tour, you know, and they've obviously got a USA leg as well. So it's a lot of traveling, a long time away from family. I think, you know, when you're very young, it's quite exciting. The older you get, you know, now you're leaving family back for like sort of 6 weeks. It's important to find the refreshing part of it. And I think especially if you look at like World Cups and stuff like that, that's a massive element of it. It's the fatigue. An interesting point that I think that for some of these players is that Dave Rennie said that he's already selected his 23 for the Ellis Park test.
That's odd to know.
I think it's an interesting. I mean, I remember that Rassie basically said that when he went into the World Cup, they kind of showed the players this is the 23 inverted commas. Like this is kind of like if you played the World Cup final, this is 23, and he kind of basically almost said it's up to you to try and potentially change that and stuff like that. But this is more or less where we are. So it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of the vibe. But the difference is Rassie had been with that team for 4 years. Yeah. For somebody who's only had 3 matches with this group to basically say he already knows his test 23, that's a bold call.
No, it is. And then so it kind of calls into question, well, then what is the point of like, you know, Friday's match against the Stormers for the All Blacks, right? If that is the case, if Ellis Park's team has been picked, what is it for the All Blacks to do? Do you think there is that mindset, like, hey, play your way into position? Or
yeah, well, that's what I'll be interested. I mean, he basically sort of said that he basically intimated that most of the teams have kind of already been picked, you know, even like the domestic stuff like that, which I know to a certain degree you're always going to have to kind of say, right, how are we going to rotate it all out? And whatever side that's going to get named on Thursday will be, or sorry, tomorrow actually on Wednesday, because it's a Friday game, it will be a bit different to, obviously what we're going to see next week. But it's a strange one. For example, Bowden Barrett hasn't played a minute of All Blacks rugby this year.
Crazy.
So he goes and shoots the light out on Friday and everything looks better. Are you going to have to go back to Ruben Love and say, oh, listen, I know you were supposed to get a run out at Ellis Park against the Box, but actually when you go to Bowden. So it's ballsy. I think the only thing that from a positive point of view of an All Blacks fan is that he's very much come in and stamped his authority. Right. So I think that, and again, that can kind of go both ways. It can either be a great thing or it can cause a bit of a rift. But considering that even the Bok team is very much up in the air, maybe it's a bit of a tactic of saying, we're focusing on ourselves. We're trying to ignore all the external noise. Whatever team Rassie might put out, we've got our team. This is where we're going to go. And that's all we're caring about, really.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And there's been quite a stark warning, or stern warning rather, to the All Blacks, basically saying, hey, the midweek sides, your club sides, the Stormers, the Lions, the Bulls, they're auditioning for Rassie, right? Those players and those teams are seeing it as an opportunity to show Rassie and the coaching team what they've got. So they'll be out for blood. Yeah,
and even a couple of the pundits, New Zealand pundits, have said, a big thing that they're going to be doing, I think it was Sir Steve Hansen was saying, that these midweek sides are going to have a go. And he said, Stormers' job from a larger part of the tour is to try and hammer the All Blacks, not from necessarily a score point of view, but make them feel that, how do you really sort of soften them up in inverted commas, and no one's going as far as they're saying they're going to try and injure specific players, but that is their role. Their role is to really try and batter and make the All Black. By the time the All Blacks get to the Box, it needs to be how do we lift ourselves up now for a test series. That's what makes these tours so difficult. It's not. It's supposed to be very difficult for the tourists, and that's why like a British and Irish Lions tour, even against Australia, the fact that they couldn't get a clean sweep against the Australian side, which was growing, but nobody gave them really much of a chance. But it goes to show how difficult it is when you're on a tour to be able to lift yourself up to that intensity and make it through these midweek games. And at the same time, chances are we're going to see some big scores, but there's the banana peel there. There's in all these tours, there's always a game where there's a bit of hang on. Last year, that combined New Zealand, that Anzac team gave the Lions a bit of a scare. During the last Irish tour, we had the SAA playing against the Box. The SAA gave the Box a bit of a scare. So I think that there's definitely the potential for a scare within those midweek games. And you don't want to slip up from one of those.
No, absolutely not. But let's then move on to the Box, right? So we've got Bok Rugby back on the weekend. They're out in Buenos Aires. They're into a hostile environment, and Argentina coming off quite a feisty, more feisty than usual.
I think if you talk about pre-match nerves, the referee can't be feeling very good ahead of this week.
No, gosh, the security has been beefed up for sure. But we have 26 men traveling and some big names returning to the side, which is quite nice to see. Some stalwarts, your Ibn Etzebeth, Khaleesi is captain again, Lurt is there, Sash is back from injury. From those guys, the returning players, who are you most looking forward to potentially seeing getting on the field and seeing their form?
Yeah, I think, for me, Lurt is a big one, Lurt and Eben, in terms of the engine room. And thankfully, I think Kobus Wiese has stepped up. I think Ben Jason Dixon has stepped up. But no Achia, no Franco Mostert. If we're going into the first test without our Fab 4 locks, we can cope because we've got the depth. But those are, I think we underestimate how important those players are. To the point where it almost doesn't matter which ones they are, but having two of those sort of the Fab 4 inverted commas has always been huge. The big, I think, one that the All Blacks will be watching is Sasha, because Eben, there's more footage on Eben than any female before, quite literally, in terms of being the most capped. So you know what he's about, you know what he is about, you know what Lurt's about. We're now sitting with flower options in Maul Disorder, Andre Pollard and Sasha, and we play very differently depending on which of those players play. Yeah, the core gameplay might be the same, but they're all so different. And to a certain degree, they probably were planning on Maul Disorder, Andre Pollard. Now that Vusimore is the unknown, I don't really think he'll potentially play. But Sasha is a player who makes things happen. He's a difficult player to prep for because he's so much variety in his game. He likes to take it on. He's a running threat. So you will prepare so differently for Sasha versus Amani that it becomes a big, if he has a good game this weekend, shows that he's fit, that becomes a big, I think, crash point for the All Blacks in terms of how do we prepare for who he's going to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, Argentina, despite showing really good form, right, in the last couple of times against the Springboks. I mean, they beat us right under Conteponi. When was it? South Africa in 2024.
Yeah.
And then last year they narrowly lost, right, 27-29. However, in Sasha's last outing against them, he put on, was it 37 points?
Yeah, record performance.
Record from a Springbok, most points scored ever by a single Springbok in a game. So, you know, Argentina, always a tough one. You know, you never write them off, and if you do, you don't know anything about rugby. But I think really they are, chomping at the bit, especially given that bitter England defeat.
Yeah, and I think they've obviously got quite an interesting squad. Lots of new faces in. They're kind of using this. They've got this game. They've got a couple of games against Oz. This is their opportunity now to bring in some new faces to sort of see where they're at. They're missing some key players. No Montoya, for example. No Albanors. Which means on the face of it, you think it's going to be a weakened Argentina side. But also, again, now's a lot of unknown. Because now we're playing with players that we might not know very well. In Argentina, you know.
Hostile.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to sit there saying, oh, but I mean, it's like an Argentina B team. They're going to be straightforward. Look at, arguably, our player of the Nations Championship was Paarl on debut. Yeah. So there will be young Argentina players who haven't gotten that opportunity. And if there's ever a time to make a statement, and this is the big thing. Somebody was saying we need to try and find a way of getting the Boks back to being underdog style because that's where we perform well. And I kept saying we now had to learn how to wear the crown, and heavy is the crown. Yeah. But we are now the team, we are now the barometer. You know, you do it against the Boks, you can do it against anyone. That's what players are thinking these days. So it's a big chance for those kids.
No, and they'll be keen to take it, and we'll be looking at how many tears are shared in the anthem. And that's always usually a good measure about how fiery the Argentines are
exactly.
going to come
I mean, that's what I said about Currie Cup. When you see the tears in the anthem, you're in trouble.
You know.
You look at those defeats when they beat New Zealand in New Zealand. There were plenty of tears before that.
Plenty. So no, it'll be interesting. I'm very excited. It's like a late game, but it is what it is. I'm sure everyone will be.
Well, it's not 1 in the morning, so I'm taking the wins there. A 9 o'clock kickoff we can get through. Also, just certainly, I mean, there is an Australian game, but at least it's not the classic rugby championship where you've kind of got like that 7 o'clock Australia New Zealand game, and then like the 10, 11 o'clock. A Bok game, and then that becomes a long stretch. At least now, the braai can start a bit later on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, no, perfect. And then kind of switching lanes a bit for our final story of the breakdown, looking at some Currie Cup news, Steve. So we had the pleasure of actually going out to UJ this past weekend and watching the Lions. I thought dismantle the Bulls maybe is an appropriate term for that score.
Probably quite polite term.
Actually.
It was a bit of abuse at a stage. It threatened to get very out of hand.
It did. But if you didn't catch it, the Lions scored 42 points to 19. But I think the big talking point here for a lot of people was that this game actually was played at UJ and not the home of the Lions, Ellis Park. What's happening there?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think because the next one's at Wits as well, it basically sounds like the Lions aren't going to be back at Ellis until after Greatest Rivalry. So obviously the Lions game is in the midweek game, and then there's the Ellis Park test. Well, it's the Ellis Park test followed by the midweek game, and then supposedly they're going back to Ellis. I loved it. I think that it was a vibe because it was enough people within a smaller stadium to make it quite vibey. And I mean, we sat quite high. We weren't boxed in, so it was comfortable. But there was definitely a reasonable noise. There was definitely you could be not paying attention and hear the cheers when somebody's coming up. Watching students sneaking bottles of wine, and it was a bit nostalgic. But I think it just goes to show that we've got to take rugby to the community stadiums. I mean, you look at the Boerland games, for example, and they're absolutely packed. And when you go to these smaller community stadiums, I always say that South Africa's one of our fundamental problems is the lack of community stadiums. It's the way to do it. You'd far rather put 4,000 people in the UJ Stadium than try and put 6 or 7 into Ellis Park. No,
absolutely. And I think, I can't remember the last time I went to Ellis Park, but I've seen the crowds on TV, and it just must be a bit sad, especially when you're all spread out and there's just empty seats everywhere. As you say, we were on that main stand there, looking around, it was full. I think you've got a great shot, actually, and we'll include this in, of just the mind games done by the Lions and the Bulls for the coaching staff.
Yeah, the Lions and they raised Wendy house and the Bulls under the poor gazebo. Big fan of that as well. But I also think that's also, I mean, you talk about using home ground advantage as well. Take your opposition as much as you can and make them feel a bit uncomfortable. I mean, we had players walking just randomly in between fans almost to get to the change room and stuff like that. Which at this level, you can get away from it in terms of a security thing. But make it different. Bring players down to scratch. It's not always going to be the fancy Ellis Park change room with your TVs and I think go and sit in a matchbox. I always love that from the FA Cup in terms of football, when people go to play in these tiny change rooms. It's like a reminder that this is where you have to start before you get to Stade de France and the likes.
Yeah, no, I think it would be very cool. I think it would be quite lacquer for, again, the URC, we talk about that being at your national stadiums, but then maybe for the Currie Cup games, you actually look at bringing it to the universities, because it was so lacquer. We got on the bus from the parking lot to go there, and we walked back, in fact, which was quite lacquer, and it was safe. And again, huge credit to the UJ team and the students and the organizing staff. There were people directing us the whole way. It felt safe. It felt like the old days almost, when you would go watch rugby games, and it just was very lacquer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. It was such a good experience. I mean, it's a bit next week, and I think I'm hopefully trying to get there. Friday afternoon fixture, but yeah, get into the community stadiums, because there's a thirst for live rugby, and we'll talk about when we get to the Maul in Schoolboys, because 25,000 people are apparently watching Paarl this weekend. So the thirst for live rugby is there. We just got to make it accessible.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Awesome. So, speaking of the loose trio, should we get into it? You want to take us through this?
Let's get into the loose trio. So, for those of you who are new, the loose trio is quick and fast and fun. And we've got a couple of stories over here. First of all, big rumors, massive rumors, in fact.
Oh gosh.
One of the biggest additions, supposedly, or a potential addition to the box side, is rumors that Susie is back.
Susie.
Now, if those people don't know, Susie was the rumored poisoning legend from 1995, where the All Blacks got food poisoning shortly before the Box won the World Cup. Lots of conspiracy theories about how it was engineered within the Box. In fact, I think it was one of the Box security guys who said there was no doubt that it was, inverted commas, a poisoning, or that it was not just a mistake, but he said, but very far-fetched to suggest that SA Rugby were behind it. But yes, she was the big legend around that, and a lot of the All Black fans and pundits have been saying just be wary of what to eat down in South Africa, because you don't want to have a repeat from that. The main thing from that whole thing is that 15-12 was the final score, but yeah, 27 players from the All Blacks went down in the 48 hours before, and yeah, excuses as far as I'm concerned.
I suppose it does, again, put into context the clip that we're going to be looking at a bit later.
Correct.
They start to make a bit of sense. You'll see that shortly.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, maybe get Susie back.
Yeah, actually.
Susie
maybe would be better.
Yes, maybe they need to get Susie, because yeah, it's a bit of a travesty there. And then where's a fun one, if you're a Bok fan, is...
I am, for the record, to make it sound like...
4,000 people went to the All Blacks event on, I think it was Thursday or Friday, to welcome the All Blacks. Reportedly, Mark Alexander was apparently booed when he was there. And apparently that he's talking about the fact that the tour is about mutual respect. And apparently there were basically lots of chants about cheaper tickets.
This is a recurring theme, right? I think we've spoke about ticket prices almost on every episode of the Mad Show. Clearly, there is a message from the people just not accepting what's being put out there.
Yeah, and I think it's even the greatest. I mean, you're looking at your community games, inverted commas, your Lions, your Stormers games, and tickets, unless you're basically in the corner, are like starting at 850 Rand. Now, you're thinking, guys, you've got 3 matches in Johannesburg, 2 tests, Lions game, and then Loftus as well for the Bulls game. So you've got 4 matches in Gauteng. They're not entirely the same clientele, but they're the same clientele, really. Your diehards are going to want to try and go to all 4 of those matches. Now, if you want to go to all 4 of those matches, you are forking out upwards of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 Rand. The F&B test isn't sold out yet, but yeah, I think the public are still, I think, quite hurt, and they keep saying they're going to review after the season, because that's the part when they can't go back and make things change like they did the first Ellis Park test. But lots of fans, I think it goes to show that even just because the Springboks are doing well doesn't mean the fans are going to voice their displeasure at things that they don't agree with. No,
absolutely, and I think you might even hear that displeasure more because you want to go see your team doing well, right? You want to go see the team in full flow and be able to tell your kids, your grandkids, I was there in that 2026 era, I saw Sasha, this. But you are pricing out a large part of the population. And again, we want to believe that Ubuntu and everything that Rassie talks about in Chasing the Sun, the documentaries and the guys, that's what it's for. It's for South Africa. Bongi going up to Andre saying, do it for South Africa. Like there is this we used to have the 23rd man, right? Those adverts.
Player 23 young.
Player 23 young, exactly.
Yeah.
But now I suppose it's the 24th, which is the South African population, and it just feels like a bit of a middle finger. But anyway, we've spoken lots on that, so
Yeah.
let's see what happens.
Well, 40 rand tickets of the weekend for Currie Cup, so shout out towards that.
Yes.
And then on the back, we talked about Dave Rennie having picked his 23 for Ellis Park already. Confident, risky. My question is, I wonder how much the Boks have. You know, as I said, Rassie likes to basically line up a season of inverted commas, stuff like that. So in terms of where the Boks are at and where the All Blacks are at, if Rassie has picked a team, I want you to give me 5 players right now who are written in ink, not like a whiteboard that we can sing, not pencil, written in ink, borderline painted onto that 23. I was going to say 1, but that's just 2. That's boring. So
What is boring?
Give me 5. Obviously, we don't know about fitness of Oxen Chair or Franco Mostert.
Okay.
But because obviously Oxen Chair is the first person you write down on any team sheet.
Well, that was last week, and I had to cross them off because.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, can we go back? Like
Yes.
I'll go one, you go on. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start then. I reckon Damien Willemse. Yeah, I know.
For the low-hanging fruit.
Well,
there, the
have
low-hanging fruit
have
here.
to. Yeah, Damien is, I think, on there for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we'll state another obvious one. Obviously, Peter Steff, the toy starts.
Yeah. I'm going to stick in the forwards then. I think Sears on the team sheet. I think he is the talisman. Obviously, we'll see fitness and levels. You know,
Well, I suppose Sia very rarely comes with the bench.
Yeah.
Even if he's not entirely fit.
No, he will start a game and maybe needs to come off early as opposed to coming
Yeah.
on later. So yeah, I reckon Sia.
Yeah, and then Jasper Wiese, for me, nailed down number 8.
Yeah, that's solid.
And then give me another one that's not Malcolm Marx. That's the other one, stupidly obvious one. After that, there might be a little bit of thought.
I reckon our wings are pretty solid, and our centres, in fact, as well. I think it's just about pairings. But I think if you look at kind of the players that have been left behind, right? So I reckon probably a Damien Dillende is on there for sure.
Yeah, there we go. Damien. I like you, in fact, you're going Damien. It's too easy to go to get your as well. We're going a bit shorter to 13.
Yeah.
Andre Esthazen might have a word about that. But yeah, that is the loose trio. Fast, fun, and if you have any other stories in the likes of that, then jump in the comments. Let's get into the Maul. This week on the Maul, a very interesting contrast. We've got Schoolboy Rugby in its, I don't even know what to call it at the moment. I don't know if it's the boom, if it's the golden era. It's just South African Schoolboy Rugby at the moment, from a crowds and interaction point, is probably bigger than the Currie Cup. It's become bigger than the Varsity Cup.
Yeah.
And you know, you are seeing crowds at school games that are bigger than URC games.
Yeah.
And we saw the absolute high and lows of it this past weekend. So we had 25,000 at Paarl, apparently, roughly. It is the biggest schoolboy rugby match in the world, and a big win for Paarl, and looks like an incredible match over there. And Gim's 15 straight win after they lost to Stellenberg. They got their A's into G. So they got that, and then 2 matches called off. One where a racial slur was heard by the referee, and he categorically said that I will not be part of this. And I actually listened to the audio, which was quite. And he basically said, "You guys will do your own investigations." He said, "I heard it, and I will not." I don't know who it is, inverted commas, but he said, "I'm not going to continue." So I think in that regard, well done from the referee, and I think you've got to make it that kind of consequence. And then we saw clips that are all over social media about Ege Jansen and Menlo Park in the Noordval match, which had to be called off after players and fans clashed and actual brawls. And I just think, and I've been saying this for a while, you know, schoolboy rugby is bigger than the Currie Cup. It's bigger than, you know, like a Varsity Cup. And there's multiple things that are a problem for that. First of all, security risks are a big issue because they're not passing the same sort of security things that we are seeing, and now we're seeing fights and the likes of that. And I just watch them and just think that this is not a good thing long term for the kids themselves. From a mental health development, the well-being of them. In terms of our rugby, we know that this is definitely working. But do you think we've now just gone too far? is the question.
Yeah, and I think it's very fair. And first of all, I mean, props to the referee, right? Of both games, actually. It would have been very easy in some ways just to carry on because we're facing the pressure, right? Thinking about how popular it is, the parents that have come out to play, the coaching, the ambulances that are there, all the organization.
You'll have it like, oh, my grandmother's flown in to watch a game.
Exactly. And so fair and huge props to them both for actually taking a stand. And I think when we talk about rugby values, for me, that's what kind of comes to mind, where, you can very easily see this. And I was about to say no shade to football, but actually, fuck football. I hate it. There's a clip of
Tell us how you really feel.
Is that you just wouldn't see that. You could not imagine it happening in other sports, and even in kind of code adjacent sports. I saw there was a clip on my timeline recently of a rugby league player where a slur was heard from the sideline and he just stopped and everything. So anyway, it's just something about rugby. But putting it aside, has it become too big? Are we doing the players, the kids actually? And I'm sorry guys, you won't like to hear this if you are high school players, but you are children. Is it negatively affecting them? My sort of closest thing I can compare it to actually was in the US, where we had college or university player football teams, right? Steve, these oaks would bring in 110,000 people. They were sometimes bigger than the professional leagues. And there was this huge debate that went on for years about, do we pay them? Do we not pay them? They're students, they're athletes, they're children, they're minors. It's this whole
and that's at college level, hey?
College level, at university.
So, I mean, that's at least 18 and older.
Exactly. And there's that debate going. And I think we are starting to see some of the negative side effects of having such a spotlight on our school teams. There's no doubt that we should be promoting rugby across the country for what it brings to people, both boys and girls. But there should be a very clear line. I think is it Donnie Craven that was wary of not wanting Craven Week to have a final, right? That we spoke about it, where he sort of professionalizes it too much. It should be for the love of the game. I think so. I think then when you go into professional leagues, that's when everything can kick off.
Yeah, and I think it's just a fine line, because it's difficult to not be excited about it, given what it's producing. We are winning World Cups. We are winning under 20s. So it's, you don't want to come across as this, we hate schoolboy rugby, because I mean, it's phenomenal. Yes. And I've watched a few games. I was at Kes Fest, and I've always loved Kes Fest and Saints Fest. And I mean, I used to go and watch Kingswood St Andrews, and it was a massive deal. And even those games were big, but you now got people are millions are tuning in to watch these games. And again, my gripe is not with super sports schools that's being able to consume this, but you're talking about the scouting systems, you're talking about the professionalism within the coaches, the treatment of and as I said, they are, and very good word to use, they are children. As much as we can sit there and say, oh no, but look at how they train and look at how they think, and that's what Kevin Foote said. And he's right, and he said, these kids are coming through and they're professional, they look after their bodies, they're diligent, and you don't want to say that's not a good thing, but they also are children, and we've got to allow them to be children. You've got to be allowed to go and lose your rugby game on a Saturday, and so what at the end of the day?
No, and there was another clip I saw online where, and I forget the exact numbers, and maybe we can find it, but it was someone who was looking at the likelihood of your child becoming a professional player and then a Springbok, and it is a mind-bogglingly small number.
Yeah, it's like 0.0000, and
so
then you get into it.
Now, think about all the stress and the pressure and the strain and everything that this, again, child goes through, potentially for naught, right? So then they don't make it as a Springbok, and then they've lost their childhood. I don't know, I played to a semi-serious level. I was never at a big rugby playing school here in South Africa. So I also appreciate, I'm speaking from my position, and I'm not in this kind of same thing that these kids are. But I just think it has to ultimately be about the game. And again, young Wes, if I'd said this to him, would have punched me in the face. Yeah. It is just a game at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is.
And we just need to keep that in mind. And it should be more about what can the sport teach your child? What can the sport teach? Teamwork, resilience, the ability to lose, get back up, get back up, get back up. These are values that has been instilled in me. Hard work, you play for man on either shoulder, front load. Those are the things I've taken away from rugby. Yes, my sore shoulder as well, but those kind of key values.
Yeah, and I think what we've got to do, because the problem is we can't just say, right, it's done. We can't suddenly just cut off super sports schools.
No, genie's out the bottle.
Stop allowing people to come in. Yes, exactly. We're at the situation. I think my biggest frustration is that we didn't, the proverbial we, you know, and I think SA Rugby needs to start taking ownership of this. We weren't expecting the boom. We haven't put the safeguards in place. And we are now in an unprecedented situation where we have got school. I mean, Marcus Miller, I mean, I should not be knowing the amount or seeing the amount of I've seen of a boy in Cape Town playing rugby, you know, and he was 18 years old. And I just don't actually have the time to watch a lot of schoolboy rugby, but I knew of him and I'd seen his clips. Ethan Adams, you know, we've always had schoolboy stars because you still had social media. I mean, Dave Villeneuve you kind of knew of, but we didn't have his highlights from when he was 10 years old. And again, so whether it's now looking at, do we stop limiting in terms of what level games are shown at, for example, do we need to stop putting a lot more safeguarding about, you know, bursaries? And I think there does need to be. It's difficult to sit there and say, stop giving bursaries to poor kids who are, because you're not uplifting them, and you are, and it's amazing. This is the thing. There's so much good coming out of it.
Right.
But we are in a situation where mental health in the youth is really, really prevalent at the moment. And arguably, people are saying we're in a situation where we've got a high suicide rate. We've got in schools. We've got massive dropout rates. We've got massive levels of depression. And a lot of the older generation will sit there and go, "Oh, suck it up." But as I said, you watch. And that's what somebody was saying. They said that and I said on the live stream today, he said, I remember as a parent had a fight for my under 14D team. And he says, he just can't imagine what these poor boys in first team level are going through. Because yes, when it's going well, how phenomenal. You score a try in front of 25,000 people. You are the absolute hero. You miss a tackle in that game and you are immortalized for your failure.
No, the highs are high and the lows are low.
That's where I get worried about it.
No, big time. And no, it is concerning, but you're right. There's so many, you know, positives and potential drawbacks. And guys, we'd love to hear from you, right? This is a communicative show. We'd love you to get stuck into those comments. We do read them, and we'll get back to them. And we'd love to know your thoughts. Where does it sit for you guys on the Mad Watchers? Like, it would be lovely to know. Those are our opinions, and we'd love to know yours.
Yeah, and then I want to get into more shame and more fame.
Okay.
So this is a bit of a lighter note, and very, very interesting to sort of see what the feeling is, because the All Blacks are here, and they're getting involved. Before that, this is what we had last week, by the way, and the front row, we're going to...
This was a thing of beauty. Probably one of my favorite clips. I mean, just look at the big man go, the little goosey, the handoff there. He's just, up he goes, pace from the big man. And, okay, we'll get back to that tackle in a second.
Yes, yeah. So that was last week's Maul of Fame. The man's going quite far up on the Maul of Fame. We're busy tallying and sorting out our Maul of Fame, which is going to be updated next week with photos and the whole likes. So that was last week. And if you are new, basically what we do is we look at these clips and we give a ranking. 3-pointer, 5-pointer, 7-pointer, essentially. This week, it is a nominee for the Maul of Shame. And it is the All Blacks doing some team building, getting involved in the local cuisine. And they had a braai. And these were the scenes at this braai. I want to know what your...
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, what is your first initial reaction?
There's a lot of flames. There's a lot of flames. And I'm English, saying that. Soti, South African. So... Yeah, flame grill that just tastes better. Maybe they were auditioning for Spur.
No,
Steers. That's it.
So I don't know if they were sponsored by Steers for this braai, but and I don't know if they were doing it almost intentionally to start really riling up South African fans. But
actually, the
South African public have not taken well to seeing this. And so if you're a Kiwi and you're wondering, well, what is wrong? First of all, you don't cook on a braai for at least... probably about 4 to 6 business days when you light the fire. If you're cooking with, you've even got the slot on the right-hand side. You build the fire needs to go up, and you then, as it starts to sort of die off, you've got your coals, you start to spread them, people. You've got your fire going on the right-hand side so that you can shake it up, bring some more coals across, but we don't cook on open flames here. No. Thankfully, I'm seeing a lot of red meat. I'm seeing hopefully a lot of beef, because, I mean, if somebody had rocked up with the chicken flatty, that would have made life interesting. But that's,
I mean, look, fair shout to the lads for having a go, right? They're in South Africa,
Yeah.
they want to try, a bit of the experience. Now, had this been the Scotland team, completely different story, right?
Yes.
Piers Kumar would have been there, would have been a lack of braai, there would have been no problem with
him and
it.
Duan would have.
But-
I mean, if they rocked up there, and this is the thing, you got to get. You got to get some more Saffers into your squads for this exact reason.
That's exactly why we have so many Saffers in other teams. No, so I think, look, fair play to the lads, but it is a bit of shocking technique there. We're looking at, there's a lot of flames. I do think it's a good audition for steers, but it definitely is on the Maul of shame.
Yeah, well, there we go. So we've got to give it a score between 3, 5, and 7. Where's where you at?
Yeah, I think I've got to go 3, right? It's on the lower end for me. I appreciate it's a terrible clip, but I just really like the lads having a go at it.
So you're going to go with 3. I'm at a 5. I mean, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to have a word with the hotel staff who let this happen. And this is maybe one thing that, actually it's a bit of an exclusive, but rumours have it this is why they're bringing Tony Brown in post the World Cup.
Right.
Because it's
To
more
help with
about,
this.
it's not about the attacking shape, it's about the braai techniques that he's hopefully learning with Rassie and the lads.
That makes sense.
Um,
And this is where Susie would have been helpful.
yes,
Right?
that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
she would have never allowed this to happen.
No, she would have walked in and ready to poison and said, hang on, first of all, let me just sort this out. Let me sort out this issue, and then we'll go into that.
No, very good. So we'll get producer James's score. Once again, reminder, guys, let us know what you guys think. Is that 3 points a penalty? Is it 5 points a try? Or 7 points a converted? And with the Maul of shame, the more disgusting or tragic it is, the higher the score, right? So I thought it was all right. So 3 points. Steve thought it was a bit worse, so you gave it 5. So get stuck in those comments. Let us know. What do you think that is?
Right, we're going to get to some try and lie. And we have idiot-proof paddle. Well, I like to think it's idiot-proof
Yeah,
paddles.
you say idiot-proof. You haven't met me yet.
Yes, so on the back of having to try and explain to everyone each week how they all work, we've now got paddles. So simple try or lie. It's basically a bit of a true and false.
Cool.
And producer James will be reading us some questions and we'll be giving it a try or a lie, and then you guys in the comments can give your take. Producer James, hit us.
Okay, so we've got a current one. Argentina are still the most underrated team in international rugby.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a try. Although ironically, I think they have not been particularly good. I do think Scotland are criminally disrespected.
Yeah, so I've also gone for a try for our audio listeners. 2 tries. I couldn't think of a team that would be more underrated. I think everyone else is pretty clear on where they're at. Italy maybe for a time, but then they've just shown terrible form.
Correct. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone ever thinks about Argentina as a genuine top 4 or 5 team.
No.
And yet, go look at the World Cups and the likes of that, they're always in the mix.
Yep.
There.
Okay, and then I've got a dominant scrum is more entertaining than a length of the field try.
As a forward, I know this pains me to say.
Yeah, I enjoy a good scrum at the best of times. Length of a field try though is.
No, we've both gone for lies.
Yeah.
And especially if that is a full team try, if there's offloads in it,
Yeah.
maybe a grubber through, like even an individual break. I mean, no, sorry, James.
It's probably about the only try that's really
Better than
outdoing
scrum,
it in this.
yeah.
But Volko, I do apologise, and if you want to come to the mad show and have a go at us, please let us know so we can organise a chair per Thunder Thigh.
Yeah. Yes, we need that custom made.
Yes. Producer James?
Right, so we got Greek won the inaugural Currie Cup competition in 1892.
Oh, this is true, false. Now I'm terrible because it could be true on the year, but false on the team. False on the team, but
Yeah,
true
look,
on
I
the
wasn't there. You know what? Back in the day, I mean, it's tough playing in Kimberley these days. It must have been impossible back in the day. I'm gonna give that a try. I'm gonna back the Greek was there.
Just to be contrarian, I'm going to go lie then.
You probably find they weren't even in the Currie Cup. I mean, this is like Northern Transvaal and stuff vibes.
92?
1892.
Okay.
So, okay, it's false.
Yes.
They received the original trophy in 1891, but Western Province won the inaugural competition in 1892.
Technicality, but I'll
Yeah.
take it. A win's a win.
Okay. All right. Then we've got every professional rugby player has one opponent they're generally afraid to tackle.
Tries. And don't try. I don't care who you are. I don't care. I mean, I remember, interesting story. I was at the World Cup and they basically spoke to Artie Savia and he had basically said that he doesn't go into a game excited by contact. He said he has to hype himself up. Like he's not, this idea that he's not scared of contact. He's like, oh, you're mad. He said it hurts. He says, just because we're big and things. He said, so that was a kind of unique instance because I remember being, it's Schoolboy and you go into matches, 50% sometimes nervous and sometimes you go into matches just genuinely scared.
Yeah.
Because it does hurt. So I think that there's nobody that can say that there's 10 out of 10, no one scares them in terms of having to tackle.
Yeah. No, and especially when you replay teams or players and someone's got your number.
Yes.
Like, and they've bounced you once or twice before and there's that mental block and it's terrifying. Absolutely.
Yeah, look, maybe Steph's toy might be the only one that's not. Just because he told everybody, said if you're scared, you say it now. So, and I'm scared to suggest he might be scared. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Vicky Bung here.
Okay, and our last one we've got, Wes is the type of person that would accidentally reveal team tactics during a pre-match week press conference.
He's self-incriminated himself with a try as well.
Yeah, no, I just get so excited, and I'd probably be so proud of the boys and the work we've put in throughout the week, and I'd be like, oh yeah, no, so this is this. I'm looking forward to so and so doing this. Is what we wouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
I would be.
You would be a terrible hybrid player. You'd be sitting there under Estes and saying, "Yeah, look, it was quite interesting because I was in the line out yesterday." Everyone's going, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair one. That's on me.
Yeah, true. Well, Wes been taking the L's lately, and everyone did agree that you get eaten first.
Absolutely, no one agreed.
So it's the tough times for you on trial line. Maybe you might have a bit of time on the next round of the next phase.
Fair enough.
Right, welcome to the next phase, proudly brought to you by My Picks, and it's the very exciting time now where there's opportunities to predict teams, predict scores, to rate players, to get involved on My Picks.
You played it unbelievable.
It is unbelievable because it is the greatest rivalry tour. It is now time to really start throwing down the gauntlet and showing your mate that you're better than him. You are the alpha. This is not about being better at knowing rugby. It is about being a better man at the end of the day. Yeah, this is the stakes involved in your predictions. And what you can do on My Picks is you can prove that by trying to correctly predict teams, try to correctly predict scores, and then go and rate players. Share the images, the whole
bragging rights,
full Monty,
just
the
everything.
whole thing. Pull an alpha move. Yeah. Beat your, get a better score than your dad and take the keys to the house. This is the type of alpha moves you can make on My Picks in the next phase. And we know this because Wes has been trying to find a bit of a form here. So Wes, new month, new you.
So I think because I was away when my most successful round of My Picks happened and you guys just glossed over it like it didn't even happen.
As far as we didn't really happen.
So I won that round, in fact.
You did. But you'd also won it by picking England to win.
It was the correct pick, was it not?
So there is, but there's, we talk about rugby values, and that's just not South African values to be picking England to beat Argentina.
It's just no pleasing some people.
No.
Anyway, Steve, there's a slightly new board. So what's happening here?
It was pretty blank because we've got games to come. So there are effectively 8 rounds. Round 1 is going to be one match. 2 matches over there. We've got Box and Argentina as well as Stormers and the All Blacks. Then we've got Sharks All Blacks, Bulls All Blacks, Springboks All Blacks, Lions All Blacks, Springbok All Blacks, Springbok All Blacks, Springbok All Blacks. I think that's actually the right thing. So basically for every game we're going to give a prediction, an exact prediction. My Picks is going to score it. You guys get points on getting the result right and getting the home score close, getting the away score close, getting the margin right. So it's not just a simple...
It's all that maths lit coming into play.
Yeah, well, thankfully you've got algorithms going in there and calculators. But this weekend is going to be probably arguably the hardest. First of all, we've got no idea what to expect from the Argentina side. We've got no idea what to expect from the Stormers side. We don't even know who's going to play for the Stormers. And we've got no idea really to what to expect from the All Black side. So on that note, I'm going to give you the chance to start.
Thank you, Steve.
Because I'm a giver at the end of the day. I'm a very generous person. And...
Which one will we start with? You're going to start with Stormers or All Blacks?
Yeah, let's start with Friday night.
Okay, all right.
And also, you're also going to be doing is you're going to be getting a guest in each week, and they're going to be a guest. So we've got Stevie P, where's producer Jay's behind the camera, the guest every week, the whole thing, and then we've got the mad community. Every week we will be selecting somebody from the mad community. So go and join that. It is on the page. Go and join the MyPicks Mad Community Score Predictor so that you can potentially feature over here, and then we'll tally at the end. And we've got some forfeits, some very fun forfeits coming over here. We had Bokkie, which is basically the loser of the week has to wear that, but we've got concepts like we might even be driving around with a big sign in your car that says, I don't know anything about rugby. These are some of the forfeits that are being thrown around. There's brandies and rumblers and the whole spiel.
Fantastic.
So we're gonna make sure that you're not going to want to stuff around when it comes to your picks anyways.
No.
So what are we saying? Stormers, All Blacks, Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff.
Right, so result-wise, I'm going to have to go with All Blacks. So they're going to be taking this one.
Right,
Stormers fans.
Right.
But I think it's going to be quite the margin. I think they will come out firing. I think, again, the Stormers side, we've heard a little bit from them. Not sure what they're at. So I'm going to go Stormers. I do think they get on the board. I'm going to say 15. So I'm saying Stormers 15. And I reckon the All Blacks are going to put in some serious points there. I'm going to say 42.
42.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give the Stormers, I'm going to give them 18. Yakin Ahmed to cook. But I'm going to give All Blacks 55.
Jeez. Okay. So there's a few more on there.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it's a bit like the British and Irish Lions where for 50 minutes, I think it gets close, but I just generally think most of the time when benches start coming in, as the game starts to go on, there's usually your sides just don't really have it in you. I think that also they're missing obviously a lot of their box. I think the Stormers side have been very hit and miss this season, and I really hope that it's going to be a lot closer than that, and I'm quite far off, but I do think that we could see a bit of a big scoreline there. Argentina versus Box. Well, I suppose I'll have to take the lead here.
Please do.
Box have basically hit 40 3 times in a row.
Well, that was my tactic, right, in the Nations Championship. And every time I was right on that front, it's just horrendously wrong on everything else. So.
Yeah, so look, I mean, it's a strong Box side. So I'm gonna back the lads. I'm gonna give them 42. Yes. And I'm gonna give Argentina 15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
Not far from where I am.
No, in fact, I'm actually gonna give Argentina 12.
Okay, a bit further from where I am now. Also, similar margin-ish. I was tempted to go for the Box, another 40 score, but they're not at home in a hostile environment. So I've given them 38, and I'm saying the RGs are going to get 20 on the board.
20 on the board, right? 38 points to 20 there. Okay, well, as I said, I think a lot of unknowns there. I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to how fit is here, how fit is Evan, how fit is Lewis, how fit is Sasha. You know, I think if they all rock up on the day and gel, then I think this could go very well. Alternatively, it might not go as well. But I'm going to back. I also think it is a young Argentina side. There could potentially be some surprises, but Argentina just at the moment are looking very porous on defence, and they've got lots of silly mistakes in there. And I think we've been a bit better at capitalising on those mistakes. So those are our picks. Could be completely off. Who knows? We'll find out next week. Go and get your picks down and make sure they're locked in before kickoff. You've got to play all the time in the world. You will have the luxury of actually being able to see teams being able to be picked. You know, we don't even know what team Rassie's going to pick. We don't know what team Contepone's going to pick. We don't know what team John Dobson's going to pick. We don't know what team Dave Rennie's going to pick. So you'll have all that information. So really, you should be winning this. That is what we're trying to say here. And then we'll see who's going to win between us and Wes. That is another episode of The Mad Show. Time flies when you're having fun.
Does it?
I'm assuming. So it flew for me. So at least we know that Wes has to suffer through this every week.
No, Steve, an absolute pleasure. And thanks, guys, for tuning in again for another episode. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, looking forward to a fantastic week of rugby. The Rivalry tour kicking off, Park Rugby. I'm hella excited.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very cool. And Wes is going to be trying to convince the girlfriends coming down to visit from the UK that the best way to spend quality time together is in front of the TV watching all of the rugby, as well as all of the analysis, as well as all of the analysis. So good luck with those conversations.
Thank you so much.
But at least you can watch a decent team at the end of the day. Show what rugby is really about. Please make sure you smash like on the video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can listen to The Mad Show every week on Wednesday, 6 o'clock release. Spotify, YouTube, The Mad Show, ZA, on all the different socials, as well as Forever Sports. We will see you guys all next week. Let us know what you guys want to see. Let us know some of the guests you'd like to see. We are lining up some very cool guests for the rest of the month, so hopefully we will have some people with some interesting rugby pedigree and stories, because at the end of the day, as much as it is fantastic seeing an ex-player like myself on here, apparently people want to see somebody that played at, I don't know, some sort of level.
Can't imagine why.
Like, it's an anomaly.
Steve, when they've got you, why would they want anyone else?
Well, that's my tagline at the end of the
Gotta
day.
give
It might
people
be my Instagram bio as well. But apparently people might want a bit of variation. So stick around to see who we might have soon, and we'll see you guys all next time.